Here we go, everybody. We are back. Listen, again, Instagram does not love me, y'all. They don't love me, but that's okay because I love you guys. So thanks for coming back. We have these little issues. It is what it is. I can't control technology, but I'm so glad you are here. And listen, we're going to get this show on the road. Hi, everybody. Y'all doing okay? I'm so glad to see you all. Where are you guys at? Where are you guys coming from? Mwah, mwah, mwah. I love you guys too. I love you guys too. I have been hijacking Timmy's Gram, and so I hope you don't mind. I've been on here probably for it's probably a week now. I think it's a week today. And I've come on because, I've been telling you all about the Mentor You platform that we launched, and that how I'm coming on Instagram and I'm doing all the things. So I'm so glad to see you. Hi. Oh my gosh, from Germany. I think this is my favorite part about being on the gram is to see where everybody's from. I see you, Dayton, Ohio, Texas down the street, Miami. That's where I grew up. New Jersey, Augusta, Georgia. Oh, we love you too, and Prosper. That is so great. Perth, Australia.
Do you need that little stand?
Only if you want to. Perth, Australia. That is Tim's favorite part of Australia. It is Perth, and it is a very quiet place. Come on, upstate New York. Good deal. I see you, Bahamas, Oklahoma, New Jersey. I love it. I love it. Thank you guys so much. Come on, Toronto. Hey, Nigeria. Abu Dhabi. Come on. I'm so glad you're here. Memphis, St. Petersburg. I will tell Tim that Sherelle said hi. Tim, somebody named Sherelle said hi. Oh my goodness. Come on, Sydney. I love it. Barbados. I love it. Lawrence, Kansas. I don't know if you all know this, but my maiden name is Lawrence. So I like Lawrence, Kansas. Thank you, baby. We'll put it right here. He's getting me all set up.
Do you need any more lighting? That's good.
No, my lighting is good.
Okay, baby.
Thank you, sweetheart. So, where is that? Boston, Mass. You like the two-strand twist? Thank you so much, DC. Listen, we have a great night tonight. Thank you guys. I think it's okay. Thank you guys for being patient. We have had the technical difficulties all week, right? The moment I get on Instagram, every night has been some level of technical difficulty. And so it is all good. And we're just going to continue to upset it. Well, I'm so glad all of you are here tonight. We have been going actually all week on Meet Your Mentor Week. And so we have had an amazing night. We've had an amazing week so far. And so I am thrilled that we've just been able to introduce some really, really, really great mentors to the world. And tonight we have the Moores, okay? I don't know if you guys know who the Moores are. You're gonna know in a minute. They are amazing. They are the most young, fun-loving couple. So if you guys, China, Beijing, yes, I'm so glad you're here. Listen, we are getting these things translated into Chinese. So I am so excited. Anyways, we have the Moores, and I'm going to let them in 1 second. And when I tell you, they are amazing people. And I'm going to introduce you to them right now. Where are they at? Second, Nikki and Martiez Moore. Let's see if they pop in here. Oh my goodness, I love them. They are a bundle of joy. So we are going to be talking about, there they are. Yay!
Hey,
We got stuff working. We got vision working. Okay,
yes.
You guys aren't falling off.
Y'all
the
can see
screen.
both of us now.
Both of us.
We can see both.
We're in the little screen like, hello.
The internet is trying to keep us from doing great, but not tonight. Not tonight. So my goodness, I'm so glad you're here, guys. Listen, this is Nikki and Martiez, and they are amazing, and we can't wait to talk about what they do and the topics that they're going to be talking about on the Mentor You platform. And when I tell you, if you need relationship advice, you're in premarital, you're a young couple, you need discipleship, these are your people right here. These are your people right here. So,
Yeah.
Nikki and Martez, say hi to the peoples for me.
Hey guys, so nice to see all of you. And I like Juliet. I love seeing so many people from so many places, man. That's
Yeah, I
so
Yes,
was really
cool.
excited. That was
Yeah,
really
yes,
yeah.
exciting.
I
So
love it. I saw Puerto Rico a second ago, and
Mm-hmm.
they're just coming from all over Africa. Did you see Germany? That
I
is
yeah,
did.
that is
That is
amazing.
amazing.
That is amazing. Well, listen, I'm so excited, guys. Y'all are on my platform, and I am just want to say I am so thrilled to have you guys be a part. And I know you two were probably the only ones that I've known the least amount of time. You
Yeah.
know, I've prayed about everybody. I have
Yeah.
interviewed everybody. And a mutual friend of ours brought you my way some months ago. And I tell you, it has been such a treat having you on, meeting you guys. You guys are just a breath of fresh air. And
Thank you.
so I'm so glad that you are a part of the Mentor You platform. So Nikki and Martez are young
Mm-hmm.
couples. They're a young couple and they talk to young couples. They talk about premarital, they talk about dating, they talk about these relationships. And whether you're young or not, they have a lot to say. They've been married for how long? Why don't you let them know how long you've been married for?
so we've been married for 13 years, 14 next month.
Next
Come
month.
on,
Yep.
happy early anniversary.
Yay.
Appreciate it.
We're
Yes,
excited. We're teenagers.
yes, yes, yes. Well, tell us a little bit about just give us a little taste. Let them know, like just a little taste so that they know what they're in for
Yeah,
when they sign up for the Bob. Because when they come
yeah.
into your class, just let them know what are they going to get when they get the Moors.
All
Okay.
right. So we are definitely a fun-loving couple. We love to laugh.
Yeah,
We like to have a good time.
we do.
We joke a lot.
We do.
We like Christian hip hop, so you'll hear us make references to those things often. But as far as the content goes, we just pull from our life.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why we were so glad to partner with you in this, because you champion authenticity, and
Yes,
that's one of the things that we're
Yeah.
all about.
Yeah.
yes.
We don't necessarily say that marriage is going to be difficult, but there are challenges to be expected, and we don't stray away from those. So
Not at all.
we jump head first into that.
Yeah.
That was a big part of our story.
Yeah.
We got married young. We've been married 14 years, but we got married really young.
Yeah.
And so we faced those challenges without anyone really letting us know, like, hey, this is what you're going to see.
Yeah.
We didn't have premarital counseling. We didn't know what to expect.
Yeah.
And so we faced a lot and had to work through a lot. By the grace of God, we're still here. And now we're just trying to help other people learn from our mistakes,
Yeah.
learn from the wisdom we've garnered.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's what we do.
Yeah.
No, I love it. I love it. So you guys, I know that you guys, you have shared your story. We've talked a lot. Y'all have come through a lot. Y'all have experienced a
Yeah.
lot. How much success have you guys seen? Like, what have you guys done? I know you're pastors. You were pastors. Are you still currently pastors?
Yes.
Yeah.
So we so our primary context for ministry was at a college campus
Yep.
in Georgia.
Mhm.
And so we started that in 2008 and been overseeing that since then. So
Yeah.
now about 16 years
Yeah.
walking with college students and young adults. So you can imagine the conversations that we've had in that
Yep.
space.
Mhm.
After that, we moved up here to Columbia to partner with Forward City Church.
Yeah.
That's our
We
family.
love
We love,
Travis.
Yes, we love
Yes,
them.
we love
yeah.
Travis.
And Pastor
Yes.
Jackie, we love them so much.
Yeah. So great friends. And when we've been able to pastor in that space with them, with the discipleship ministry and
Mhm.
marriage counseling and, just associate pastor duties there.
Yep.
And then from there, we also went on tour with Maverick City and Jonathan McReynolds during the Kingdom
Yep.
tour.
Yeah.
And so in that space, again, just walking with people through different seasons of
Yeah.
life and
Yeah.
exploring, like, hey, life is real.
Life is real.
Let's be a
real.
safe
Life is real.
life be life. And so
Yes.
Yeah.
let's create a space so we can talk about these things
Yeah.
That's right.
that some people may shy away from.
Well,
Yeah.
I love the fact that y'all are so low key and y'all have been around some pretty solid, good quality names and leaders, and you've been able to pastor some people behind the
Yeah.
scenes that you all would never even know. You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
most people wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
You listen to their music, you watch their sermons,
Mhm.
and these guys right here are like the secret keepers. You know, they are pastoring those people. They're pastoring and they're walking through life with some of the people that you follow. You don't even realize
Yeah.
you're singing their music, you're going to their churches, and this young couple right here is helping walking these mainstream leaders through life. And so when I tell you, God has used them in such a tremendous way. I just think they are an absolute blessing. And so
Oh.
they, um, I've spoken to Martez and Nikki many times now, even in our short relationship. And when I tell you something, um, Martez is the most humblest. He is so humble.
He
He is
is.
so tender-hearted. He's such a man's man. And when I was talking with them, we were like, we're going to start out with marriage. He said, but I want to do something later on for the men.
Yes.
And I want to challenge them to have a prayer life. I want to do something definitely for men where we can help them get anchored. And I said, my brother, whenever you are ready, let's go. And then
Yes.
I spoke to Nikki, and Nikki was like, we're going to do this marriage stuff together. But
Yeah.
after a minute, I got stuff I want to talk to just for the ladies, just for the ladies. And when I tell you these two have a heart of gold, they have a heart of gold. And so on the platform, they are going to be talking about relationships. Can you give us a little snippet? Can you give us a little something that you can help these young couples or just these couples go through? Like, give them something to bite on, to know we got a whole year that we're going to delve into making bad decisions, being married for the idea of being married, but not really understanding that marriage is really work. And sometimes we go into it with a mindset, and just the idea, the thought of it makes me, oh, I just want to get married. I want to put on my dress and I want to live this fairy tale life. But actually it is a lot more work behind the scenes. And I think that a lot of relationships nowadays fail to want to do the work and see that there's work that needs to be done, because they have this false expectation and narrative of what a healthy relationship should look like and be at, and the work that it takes. Do you agree?
I do.
Absolutely.
One of the things I think we are really looking forward to is really that transparency about those thoughts. Like, I think a lot of times when people are trying to prepare for marriage, there are different voids or things that they're looking for that they don't even know, right? We're looking for companionship, which isn't wrong. We're looking for just friendship. We're looking for support. We're looking for someone to understand us. But I think what we learned even coming into marriage and not getting that kind of help and support is that there were a lot of things that we should have allowed the Lord to kind of address. You know what I mean? Like, we're discovering early in marriage, like, my identity is actually not wrapped up in this role, or my identity is not wrapped up in this title. But it's just like, who am I actually outside of I think even for women, we go through the name change, we go through, these pursuits of motherhood and wife and all this stuff, but it's just like, who are you? And, and so you're trying to discover that as a wife and as a husband. But I think really kind of getting back to, I think that's why discipleship is so strong for us in marriage, because it's like, we can find our identity in Christ. And when our identity in Christ is solidified, we show up different in our marriage. You know what I mean? We show up to our spouse different, but we also show up, we know who to go to. Like, me realizing in some spaces of my life, hey, I'm trying to get Martez to really feel an area of insecurity that only the Lord can satisfy.
That's
What
right.
I mean?
That's right.
But it takes those raw conversations first to even say, like, hey, I'm struggling. You know what I mean?
You don't even realize it.
No, you don't even realize it at all. And even having a safe space where you don't feel, I think in a lot of religious kind of contexts, we almost feel like we should show up already like together. And it's just like, everybody's excited about your marriage, but you're behind the scenes like, I don't know, know? And it's just like, people need safe spaces to just be like, I'm scared. Or they need safe spaces to just be like, I don't know what to do, or I'm disappointed. Like, what do you do when you're walking through disappointment? When you have, like, for myself, for both of us, we both saved ourselves. We didn't have sex before marriage. So you come in with these like, okay,
it's about
to be wild. Yes. And so, but you get into marriage and you're having to navigate, like, oh, nobody told you communication is like huge with sex. So it's not just sex.
Right.
It's like we got to figure out how to
We got
talk.
to be intimate on so many other levels
Yes.
for physical
Right.
intimacy to
Yes.
be truly what we don't want it to
That-
be. So,
Yes. And so
Right.
it's just like we're navigating through that. And then, you know, no one told us about like how our past trauma, not even just our relationships with other people we've had, but even our childhood.
Yep.
Like I'm an only child.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Navigating through that. What does it look like to be open? And it's just so many things. And I think for us in this and Mentor You platform, we're able to have these conversations. Like, all right, let's talk about it. Like, you know, let's go raw. Let's just talk about what is it, whether you're upset, you're afraid, you're scared, it's okay.
Yep.
You know, it's okay. And that's what we want to let people know. You can bring your stuff to this platform. You can bring all of it.
Yep.
And we'll work through it. We'll work with God.
Yep.
Unpacking this stuff and having these conversations.
Yeah, I agree with Frank. I mean, one of the things Frank was mentioning in the comments, he advises for individual counseling and couples, and we do the same.
Yeah.
Like we'll meet with couples, and then there'll be certain sessions that we go through where
Yeah.
we're digging into like those deep needs or family relationships and history, where it's like, hey, I think there's something here that you should probably work through in a different space, have more individual attention, because you'll show up differently in this space.
Yeah.
So I think for men especially, that's something that a lot of men or younger men particularly are more hesitant about. And so I definitely encourage that. I didn't know that I was trying to prove myself so much early in our marriage. I spent a lot of time, I had high expectations for myself. I perceived that the people around me had high expectations. And so I spent a lot of time, a lot of my efforts, I thought I was loving, and I was actually trying to prove. It wasn't pure love towards her. It was my attempt to prove myself as a good husband.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize it was driving me, and it was driving her away.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
So those are, you know, just some of the things that you can discover in a safe space.
Yeah.
That's good, Ted. That's good. Because a lot of people get that mixed up.
Yeah.
A lot of people blur those lines all the time of loving and proving.
Yes.
No, that is great. And I really wanted to go back. I know you went through it so fast.
Oh, sorry.
I know you just
Sorry.
No, you're fine. But that's real what you said, Martez. And I love that because you're right. I tell people all the time, I used to cut men's hair for 30 years, right? I love barbering. So I've had great relationships, great times with men. And you're absolutely right. I've had very great conversations with them while I'm cutting their hair. And yes, oftentimes they're just trying to, I don't know what else to do. I don't know what else to do to make her happy. It's proving their love and not necessarily showing their love or communicating with their spouse. How do you want to receive my love?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
We don't necessarily talk about what does that look like, because I may be trying to do all this work to express love to you a certain way. You may not even receive it.
Yeah.
It might even be the way you receive love. And so,
Nikki,
so
I'll ask this question. I'll say something, and in the middle of, not to interrupt me, but she'll be
no,
like,
go ahead.
Who told you that?
Yeah, I'll ask him that.
She'll ask, who told you that?
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I thought that because you said this. It's like, but who told you that?
Yeah. Because I'm always asking him, you know, just kind of almost bringing it to the forefront that I'm right here. You know, it's almost challenging ourselves to not assume, but literally ask, you know. And I think sometimes, you know, just the way that we relate to people, we're gathering information and we're trying to forward think. And sometimes we're just trying to show up like, I'm going to show up. And it's just like, I don't want to bother you by asking questions. And you don't recognize that those tendencies, when they show up in marriage, it really creates barriers because we start to respond to each other from assumptions instead of asking questions.
100%.
Like, just, you know, just ask me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes we want to try to prevent maybe a disagreement. Sometimes we do it to be preventive as well, but you know, it's scary out here.
It is true. And we do, most people, no matter what, it's in their nature to self-protect.
Yes.
That is what they're going to do no matter what. They are going to do whatever to self-protect. So even in instances, in the attempt to be vulnerable, in the attempt to try to show like, okay, I'm going to throw myself out there, there's still that hesitation that still wants to self-protect because we don't know what the response of the other person is going to be.
Mhm.
And
Right.
none of us like to feel hurt or rejected.
Yes.
And so in our self-preservation, to want to share, but don't want to be hurt and rejected, we end up saying and doing something that is like we're
Right.
not giving the all, right?
Yeah.
There's this clutch right here in the middle
Yeah.
that hinders that level of communication and transparency, and one of us has to be the bigger person to just give it all
Yeah.
and say, no matter what, I'm gonna put myself out there,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
we're gonna let the chips fall where they
Yeah.
may, and let's just deal with
Yeah.
it. But I'm being 100% transparent with you. I'm being vulnerable with you, and I'm gonna pray you don't trample over
Come
it. And how can we walk through this and heal? And a
Yeah.
lot of times we have to admit
Yeah.
that we may have not always made the best decision in our relationship and even being with this person.
Yes.
So if we're really gonna go there,
Okay.
right? We're gonna
Oh, I love go there.
Yeah.
okay, if
Yeah.
we're gonna go there tonight, we have to think, first of all, how did I get in this relationship? Right? How did we even start?
Yeah.
Okay. And I'm not even saying if it's marriage, it could even be dating.
Yeah.
So how did I get here? Did I get here because I just had a crush on this person and I really wanted to be with this person no matter what? For looks, to bring up my own self-esteem, just to say that I'm not lonely anymore, just to be like, I just don't want to be by myself. So how did we get into the relationship? See, everything has a genesis. Everything starting point.
That's good.
So if we're really being honest with ourselves, we have to think, how did we even get in this relationship? And then now what do we have to do to fix this relationship?
Yes.
And
Right.
is it worth fixing?
Mhm.
If you're married and you can, and both parties want to work, I believe in restoration, and I
We do
believe
too.
For sure.
Yeah. For
For
I
sure.
sure.
believe that it can be done. But it is extremely, extremely difficult if it is just one person working on their own.
Yeah.
Two, we need to make sure that we are understanding what part did we play? If this thing started to go sour, what part did we play in it?
Yeah.
And we can't act like we didn't have a part,
Exactly. Yeah.
right?
That's
Right.
that
We don't get to say
personal
that.
accountability.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We got to be honest and say, okay, was my tone bad? Did I turn him or her off because of the way I was speaking, the way I was acting? Was I dismissive? Oh,
Yeah.
there's nothing worse than being dismissed and rejected. It's the worst feeling.
It's the worst.
And after you do that enough times to your person, something in them begins to die off.
Yeah. You retreat.
So we got to acknowledge these things.
Yeah.
And so when the relationships start to go sour, or we feel like we are our relationships aren't working, we first must ask ourselves, what role are we playing in that?
Yeah.
Because we're not going to get anywhere further or anywhere honestly until we ask ourselves the hard questions first.
Yes. I think the hard questions, and I feel like that's the part, again, while I'm excited about us being on this platform, because I think a lot of times navigating through hard questions, we can try to avoid them, right? We can try to avoid the hard questions. We can try to skirt around the question to try to, I don't know, we just try to play it off, but it's just like this question is going to come back up in the relationship.
Yeah.
And I think that, going through Mentor You, one of the things that I feel like when it comes down to like the program, we can actually create a space where people can ask the question, not experience shame, and even ask the question to their partners. Like some of the things that we may ask ourselves, some things that we're avoiding is asking our partner, about
100%.
about their heart, about the relationship. Like even a question like, how do you see this relationship? What's your pursuits? What are you looking for in this relationship? And I think that question should be asked even in marriage, because even though we're in the same room, you know what I mean? It changes from season to season.
That's right.
Yes.
That's because people change. We're all changing. We're all growing. And we're not the same people we were 10, 15, 20 years ago. And we shouldn't be.
No, we shouldn't be.
We shouldn't be.
Exactly.
We should have grown.
Yes.
But most times the reason why relationships don't work is because we keep treating our partner, our girlfriend, our boyfriend in the same mode that we did when we first started. And we
Mm-hmm.
haven't checked in with them to say, what has
Yeah.
changed? Has anything changed? Where are you now?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you now? Where's your heart now? Where's your mind now? And we don't ask those questions a lot of times because we're afraid of the answer.
Yes.
We're
Yes.
afraid of the answer. We're afraid of the response. And that's what Mentor You is for. Mentor You is for is to do your push-ups in the workroom
Yes.
of your relationship.
Yes.
It is
Yeah.
to get in the weight room and strengthen these
Yeah.
areas that fear has been dominating. It is to straighten these areas in our life where rejection has dominated
Yeah.
us from moving forward. It is to strengthen us in the areas where hurt has dominated us from progressing in our relationship. That is the purpose of why we have this, so people can surround us and help us and spot us.
Yes.
That's what we were saying in the last live, that we got spotters to help us grow in these
Yeah.
areas. And it takes practice, right? You
Yeah.
don't go in the gym one day and then grow big muscles just because you worked out one time. No, it's repetitive.
Yeah.
You have to keep practicing to build that muscle. And a lot of us need to stop crying over everything, and we got to build some muscle
Yeah.
in our
Yeah.
relationship.
We got to kind of like become real acquainted with pain, because I think a lot of even that aspect about suffering, like the conversation about suffering, the conversation about inconvenience and sacrifice, that's integrated in
Yeah.
marriage. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
a part of the foundational
100%.
aspects of being able to lay your life down for your spouse, being able to put aside your conveniences, and even looking at the situation like, hey, suffering may be something that I don't need to avoid, but I need to embrace, because the qualities that I'm looking for perseverance, I'm looking for endurance, I'm looking for all these things on the end, but I need to actually go through the walls of suffering to have that. You know what I mean? And I think it was something you said even about, I think what was it about relationships. I was thinking when people first start dating, sometimes the way they approach the relationship is that they approach it with a marriage lens before they've even kind of recognize, is this person marriage material?
For
It's
sure.
because they want to get married
That's
so bad. And
that's
it's
right.
kind of like, hey, this person who you're giving all this time, cooking all this food for, doing all this stuff, this ain't your husband, this ain't your wife, and they're getting the best of you.
They're getting
They
the
haven't even
best.
but they haven't even committed to the sacrifice.
No,
They
Yeah.
haven't even
no,
committed. You get what I mean? And
that's
so
right.
just like you were saying before, some of the hard questions may not even be in marriage. It may be before, like,
It should
hey, am I
be before.
investing?
That's
Yeah,
right.
am I giving this person um like eternal investment when they haven't even committed to me in that way? Am
Yeah,
I giving them that like
yeah,
attention? Like, yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah. We give too much. I think the women nowadays, maybe the younger women nowadays, they give so much
yeah.
because they want to be married. They want this man to come in and take care of them. And so they do all these things. And I've seen where they do all this stuff to get the guy, and then they get the guy, and then they stop doing all the things that they did when they were dating.
That goes both ways.
Yeah.
You know what
Yeah,
I mean? Yeah, it
guys,
goes
girls,
both
that
ways.
goes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Both ways, both
Isn't
ways.
it interesting? You guys, when you're dating, you go on a date, you smell good, you comb your hair, you brush your teeth, you put on deodorant, you have nice cologne, you take
All
them
of
out
it.
these
All the
nice
things.
restaurants, and the next thing you know, you get married, and then it's like sweatpants and hoodies every day.
I'm telling you.
You know what I mean? And
No,
it's like we don't
yes.
put the work in that it takes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that it took to get us, on both sides. We don't
Mhm.
we don't want to do that work no more. But and I want to talk back again on what you were talking about, Nikki, on the suffering or the sacrifice.
Yeah.
And that is, even when you were mentioning about the suffering, we don't want to go through the suffering. And I want to pinpoint on what actually that suffering
Okay.
is. And it's different for everybody. It's
Yes.
going to be
It's
different
different for
for everybody.
hmm
What are you suffering? Are you suffering from you not getting to do everything you want to do anymore? Is
Mm.
the suffering you and having to adjust your mindset? Is the
yes.
suffering that maybe you don't get to be as selfish or self-centered anymore, and now you actually have to
Yeah.
share? Is the suffering, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? What one would consider suffering is dying to the
Yes.
flesh. That's how Christ made this.
Exactly.
That's the suffering. Is
Yeah.
dying to the flesh,
Yeah.
so that your love is a Christ-like love for one
Yeah.
another.
I,
That's what
I,
the
I
word.
when you said the suffering, also like that dying to the flesh reminded me of how, like, one of the ways we walk in the flesh is when we don't allow yield to God's lordship. We don't allow God to actually be the one in control. And I think a lot of times in relationships, we struggle with that control. You know, we want to be, you know what I mean? And so, like, sometimes that dying of the flesh is really acknowledging that I'm not in control, and I have to not just yield to the control, not just yield and submit to my spouse, but it's me really ultimately submitting to the Lord. It's me acknowledging him and recognizing that maybe, I always say this, like, when we're in that, like, you know, that hard warrior, I'm going to do it myself kind of perspective in marriage, that really creates a lot of barriers, because it's kind of like, if you're not going to do it, I'm gonna do it myself. Or maybe you don't say that. Maybe it's the fact that our history says I had to take care of myself. You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
I had to take, but it's like, now that you're married, you're having to learn to trust someone.
Right.
And sometimes sacrifice looks like putting yourself in the space of vulnerability. It may not necessarily mean giving a plate of food, but it will mean that you got to come into this conversation not knowing whether or not this person is going to accept you or they're going to reject you. It's the fear of the weakness, and it's almost like, I remember when we first got married, I would have this argument all the time. And it can sound silly, but it was like, I tell Martez, "You trying to make me look like a punk?" Like, and,
She used to say that all the time. Like, I'm not a punk.
Yeah, I'm not. I was like, I've been single. I can take care of myself. And I realized it was never really about Martez. It was about me navigating through my own fear.
Right.
It was the fear that I would look foolish, or both of our parents experienced divorce. So, you have those fears, like, I don't want to get divorced, or I don't want to, it's just all these different fears. But I feel like the sacrifice is literally yielding to the Lord, acknowledging that weakness, and allowing him to show up in those spaces. And even showing up before Martez, like, "Hey, I'm scared," or I'm talking like this because honestly, I just don't know what to do, and so I think vulnerability has really been healing for our marriage. It's really put us in a space to really be able to run to the Lord, or even run to our friends, run to therapy. That was one of the things that changed us.
I'll say this too. I think from my experience, I ran to the Lord, but I didn't know how to run to my spouse.
Yes.
And so that was the learning curve for me, being a church person, being a guy who, in my singleness, all I wanted to be was a man of God. I wanted to be an honorable man of God. And so I learned how to be vulnerable in prayer. I learned how to lay things out before God, but I didn't know how to do that with a person. And on a consistent basis. Like, as a dating person, I could have a moment and then I can go to my room, I can go back to my apartment. But now, if I share something or if I lay something out, I still have to go to sleep with this person. I'm still in the same space with this person. And so we went through a season early in our marriage where I had to come out of the prayer room.
Yes, you did. Yes,
literally,
you did.
Literally, she was like,
"Yes, I was." Okay, well, you can tell it.
She was like, "Look, I know you're the bride. We are the bride of Christ, but you have a bride right here.
Exactly.
And you're married to me.
Yes,
Hug me. Right.
I literally told him, I said, Jesus didn't walk. I mean, he did walk down the aisle with you, but the person who was walking down the aisle, you married a person. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, but people don't have, because, in certain contexts, we hear just about you're praying, your spiritual disciplines, and all these things. And it's like, yes, but we have to talk to one another. We got to learn how to communicate.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
And that space from Martez was really challenging, because he was in there with the Lord having a great time, and I'm just like,
I gotta say that you guys, in this story right now, that would be the first time that I've heard that. Typically that story is reversed. It's the girl in the prayer closet, if that, and the guy's like,
no,
I'm right here.
No, Martez was in there loving on Jesus, and I'm just like,
but
so
ignoring you.
Well, it wouldn't just be a plain ignoring, but it would just be about the priority. And I think for him, the devotion, and I want to speak for you.
Yeah.
I want to, I think my perspective, with seeing him was that his devotion to the Lord was so intense. And it was just like, God, I'm doing this for you. I'm trying to be a better husband. And he's trying to learn that in this prayer
Yeah.
closet. And it's just like, honey, the work got to be done outside of the
Yeah.
closet, because
Yep.
being a husband, you can't be a husband without a wife.
Like I said before, I really wanted to prove
Yeah.
to myself
Yeah.
that I could do this. Like
Yeah.
I was really trying hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said something the first time we met, Juliet. I'll never forget this. I actually I threaded it afterwards. You said perfection is an unfair standard.
It is.
Yes.
And that was me early in our marriage. Like I did not want to. Not only did I not want to fail, I just didn't want to get things wrong.
Yeah.
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 So
Yeah.
in that fear, I retreated to the Lord.
Yeah.
In that concern, because of what I'd seen, because of what I've been through,
Yeah.
because of the mistakes I didn't want to repeat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was pursuing the Lord, but I didn't realize it was motivated by fear and not by faith.
Yeah.
I thought that I'm trusting God and this is going to work because so many people, like, if y'all both love God, you trust God,
Yeah.
it's going to be all right.
Yeah.
But look, I love God, but I got to learn how to love this woman.
Yes.
And I'm not going to learn it simply by loving God. I have to learn it by learning her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was a transition for me.
Wow.
It was a
Wow.
game changer for us, though. When that started to happen, I think it softened my heart. And I didn't recognize how upset I was at the Lord.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I was just
Yes.
like, wait, am I upset with God?
Yeah.
I felt jealous. And I was like, I didn't even know if there's a safe space to even say you feel jealous because your husband's communing with the Lord. Because what woman would be like, girl,
Sure.
let your man be in there,
For
but
sure.
it's just kind of like, once he started.
But there's extremes.
Yeah.
There's extremes and there's pendulums, and it's like it's still a negative. If you swing in the pendulum way on the extreme opposite side, any extreme is not good.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There has to be a balance in the middle, and that's at the time what you were experiencing for sure. And I think a lot of times too, even to your point, you were saying, Martez, that it was fear. And it was most likely fear. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but probably because you didn't want to disappoint the Lord.
Yeah.
You didn't want to disappoint your wife.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing. I think the crux of it is back to disappointment.
Yes.
And that's what I meant to say, earlier. And that was disappointment is such a huge chasm in so many people's hearts and minds. And I tell people all the time, I have this whole thing, but that I talk about on belief systems. And everybody is governed by their belief systems. The things that they foundationally believe in their soul, that is what directs them. It's what directs their decisions. It's what directs their thinking. It's their belief system based on their experience, their hurts, their pain. And so if I am thinking, if I got to say this to them, if I got to come out, what if they're disappointed in me? What if they're disappointed in me? What if I disappoint them? We tell our kids all the time, I don't mind somebody being mad at me, but if I disappoint somebody, that's like the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
I hate to disappoint people, right?
Yeah.
And that's most of us.
Yeah.
Most of us is we do things or we don't do things, which are probably the stuff we should do, in fear that we're going to disappoint our spouse.
One of our deepest needs is acceptance.
Yeah.
And I think it touches on that when we find ourselves disappointing someone or we think that we've disappointed someone. Then we experience in some form or feel like we will some form of rejection.
Yeah.
And if we don't allow the Lord to meet that deep need for acceptance, then we transfer that demand to our partner or whoever else is closest to us in our life.
Yeah.
And I find myself doing that. Even now, sometimes I have to realize, like, why does the fear of disappointing them rise up so much when I'm having a conversation with this person?
Because we want to please them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So our goal is to always please and not disappoint.
Yeah.
So you see how they work hand in hand?
Yeah.
We want them to be happy with us.
Yeah. And that fear of failure too, because I think that sometimes the failure is a piece in disappointment that you have to realize that I may not actually always hit the mark. Like sometimes we can have our expectations that our approach may be perfect, or we may have an idea of how this is going to work, and it may not work that way. And it's just, you know, the fear of disappointment, the fear of failure can push you to almost, it pushes you towards striving, really. It pushes you to start to strive, and you actually
in an
don't,
unhealthy way.
in an unhealthy way, striving in a way that actually isn't your real self. You know, you're not really showing up with your real self. You're showing up with what you think they want. And then you're never really actually being free to be who you are. So
no, I love it. I think as we go through, because Tim and I have been married now 25 years, and we have been through quite a bit. 25, right? You can go through a lot in one. You know what I mean? So I tell marriages all the time. I tell people in marriages all the time, please celebrate every year. Don't wait till like, oh, I got to hit a milestone of 5 and 10. No, baby. You celebrate every year that you choose to stay together. Like I tell people, celebrate your birthdays, because we can't assume we're gonna be here the next one, right? So celebrate. So in marriage, though, when you have these two lives that are joining, and you have these two mindsets and these two hearts, that is a lot of work. That is a lot of work. You have your whole life that you've been around your family, your friends, and your loved one. They have supported you. They have cultivated you. They have helped frame and shape your mindset. And then this individual over here, they have lived their whole life and around their families or their friends or their loved ones that framed and shaped their mindset, which might be very different from the way your mindset was shaped and framed. And yet somehow you two come together with these different mindsets and framings and shapings and support. And now it's knocking heads.
Right.
And we can't understand why they don't like the way we do what we do, and why she's so frustrated about, you know, and because over here my family loves me and everybody thinks I'm the best thing, and over here everybody thinks I'm the greatest thing, and I can't stand you. You know what I mean? And then so we get into these little fights, and then these fights turn into bickering, and then the bickering turns into really big arguments, and then now we're not talking, and then now we are separated. And because at first we started arguing and not communicating. We started fussing and fighting and not talking. And I love to talk to people that, I don't care what age you are. I love to talk to people who are in relationships before they even get married, because if we can keep you and save you years of torment, years of fighting, years of broken hearts, then that's what we want to do. That's the purpose of the platform, is for people to walk through life with you. And this is just the best way I know to do it. You know what I mean? With so many people that I know need this help. And that is, if we can teach you how to use your words without using your actions immediately, minding your tone, actually having sincerity. And really, one important word that we actually lose a lot in relationships is called respect.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we get married and we lose respect for each other. And most people don't realize you don't even respect your spouse anymore.
I think that one of the ways that comes up too is that sense of entitlement. Like when we approach marriage with this entitlement of what we should be receiving. And I think a lot of times, you know, that switch when before you get married, you hear people telling you like, hey, you need to make sure you have your standards, and and that's true. Like we need to know and not settle, right?
Sure.
But once we're in that marriage, we have to realize, like, it's not just that something's going to be presented to us. We have to, like you said, put in that work. And there are a lot of times where entitlement really hinders us from experiencing the richness of marriage, because it's kind of like, this isn't about, you know, somebody deserving or giving you something. This is about learning how to earn trust. What does it look like to earn trust? What does it look like to appreciate conversation? Like, oh, you should be talking to me. Wait, everything that we're in this marriage, it should be a gift. You know what I mean? And I think that when we lose that perspective of our spouse,
Mm-hmm.
that what they give to us is actually a gift,
That's right.
that's where we lose that respect, because it's kind of like we look at the person as if you should be doing this for me.
That's
And
right.
it can't be a gift if it's demanded.
Yeah, you can't
Right.
give something, yes, if it's demanded. And it's like, no, I have to really think about this,
Yep.
that this person is giving me their time.
That's right.
They're giving me their resources,
That's
even
right.
their bodies.
That's right.
They're giving me their vulnerability,
That's
and
right.
they're giving me their love. And that, even though we've made this commitment at the altar, every day is still a
That's
gift. And it shows up because you start to realize, am I treating people at my job with more respect than I'm treating this person at home? Am I treating a stranger with more empathy, more compassion than this person? And I think, again, we just have to come to that space. That respect piece is huge. You know what I mean? Like,
yep. We lose it. We lose it. We have all the respect when we're with each, before we get married and we're trying to get with them. We give them this little respect, and once we have them, it goes out the window.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then we certainly can't find our way to get it back.
Yeah.
And then it's the journey to find it back.
Yeah, I think one of the reasons that happens though is because we get so up close on people now, and maybe we see certain parts of them that we hadn't seen before.
Right.
Maybe life happens and certain things. You just get to see different sides of people in different spaces, and so you see the good, bad, and the ugly in marriage.
You do.
Right? You see it all.
Yeah.
Yep.
And one of the things that Nikki often says is honor is how do you say it, Nick? I was about to say it.
Which part?
Honor is loving someone for who they are without tripping over who they're not.
Oh yeah,
like that.
Yeah. So it was love. No, love is honoring people for who they are without tripping over who they're not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a lot of times
people find
it's just like, just imagine trying to get out of a room that's full of toys on the ground. You know what I mean? But you have to remember your goal is to get out of the room. It's like we're trying to get out of the room, but we are not focused on that. We're focused on all the toys that we're tripping
100%.
over. And I just, you have to keep keeping that honor in front of you. It's like loving this person and honoring who they are. And that's the key, though. We still have to see who they are. And I think Martez said this one thing about, when we're married or when we're with a person, we get up close, but we have to still realize that seat is a gift.
That's right.
And I don't think that we recognize that. Like, the Lord had to get on me about that, because he kept saying, like,
that's good.
The things that you see in Martez, Nick, you're complaining about what you're seeing, or you're frustrated about what you're seeing, but you understand that nobody else has this seat. This seat was given to me. And I was just like, what?
Come on, girl.
And God was just like, girl, he was like, this seat has been given to you. And right now, the only thing that you see this seat as is a prison, but it's not. It's not. And I think me settling down and really recognizing, like, man, I have been given the only seat in Martez's life in this way, to see him this way. How am I going to treat this seat?
I love it.
And sometimes I kick this seat over. You know what I mean? Sometimes I'm like, hell, And I mean, I'm just being honest, because it sounds real like Hallmark, but it really took me recognizing, man, I have been praying and asking the Lord for all this change in my marriage, but I'm not stewarding what I've already been given. And I've been given a seat. And whether or not sometimes this seat is hot, sometimes this seat is frustrating, but I still have to start off by realizing that I've been given something that is precious. So how am I going to take care of it? And so it has been revolutionary.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To be able to recognize, like, to see somebody's good, bad, and ugly is actually a gift.
Girl, let me tell you something. That is so yummy right there, honey. That is so strong. That is so strong. And you are so right. We're so quick to judge and be mad of the things we don't like about them.
Oh man.
As if all of our stuff is perfect.
Come on.
And we don't look at it that way, Nikki. I'm so glad you said it. We don't. We get so frustrated with it, And it's like, yeah, but nobody else gets that part of them.
Nobody
Else gets the privilege to see that side of them. And he is opening his heart to you to even show you that side of them. Right?
Yes.
It's all about perspective.
It
It is
is.
all about
It
perspective.
is.
And we miss it because it's not the way we want it to be. It's not the way we would do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so I love that, girl. That is strong, and I am here for
Yeah.
it. And it is. We are disregarding it instead of seeing about it. And we need to check our own self. That's the
Yes.
part.
You know what I mean?
We need to check our own self because
Yes.
listen, I tell people all the time, this is my little phrase I tell them. When you go to the bathroom, you do not come out smelling like roses.
That's what what's the
You don't.
Oh,
You don't come out smelling like roses.
no.
Outcast reminded us of that.
Did Outcast remind you of
Yes,
that?
they did. Yes,
Yeah,
they did.
everybody's behind stinks.
Yes.
And so you got to remember that you don't come out that bathroom smelling like roses. I don't care how much poopery you spray.
I'm
You
telling
don't.
you.
So check
But I know some people
gotta
who
check
actually
yourself.
think this one right here will tell you in a minute. Nothing smells. I don't smell nothing. And I just be like, brother.
But the point is you have to be honest with you,
Yeah.
and you've got to check yourself. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
You got to check you, because we're all quick to point the finger.
Yeah.
We're all quick to point the finger, and we never want to do this.
Yeah.
We never want to do this. And so listen, y'all, we could talk about this.
We could talk about this for a long
night. You hear me? All night we could talk about this. Okay, we could get in here and keep talking about this relationship stuff because I'm here for it all day. I'm here for saving marriages. I'm here for bringing people together. Right? And if you're in an unhealthy, abusive relationship, I'm here to break that up. So you know what I mean? I'm not a supporter of that at all.
Yeah. At all.
I tell people all the time, God loves you.
Exactly.
He loves you more than he loves the institution.
Exactly. Exactly.
He wants you to be okay. And he wants you
better
to
say that, Juliet.
Okay. He is not so consumed with the institution of marriage at the expense of your mental health, your well-being, your physical health. He is not.
Yeah. And I love the fact that we can always look to God as the model.
Yep.
Because God's response to us is never abusive.
It's
you get what I mean? Like he's never even requiring us to the only sacrifice that I've seen to that extreme has already been paid. And that was something that he already did.
He already did it.
Nobody else needs to be getting up on a cross. You know what I mean? And martyr themselves in that particular way. So I definitely believe that. And I don't think that it's the heart of God. I think that honestly, when we see these abusive relationships, that really the deeper question is about us trusting the Father. It's just kind of like, because a lot of times people are challenged to stay in those things because of fear,
They are.
And not only just to stay in fear, but the people who are even abusing are operating in fear. And none of that's God. You know what I mean?
None of it at all.
None of it.
Yeah, none of it at all. Yeah. And it's it takes time for people to turn a corner to see that.
It does.
But I've seen people turn a corner. I've seen people, it take them years to turn the corner, but they get it.
Yeah.
They get it. Now, if you're in a physically abusive relationship, you may not have years.
Yeah. That is true.
Right? You may not have years. You're going to have to turn the corner quicker.
Yeah.
But when you realize that you're not in a healthy space,
yeah,
you got to start making some really fast changes.
You do. Yeah. You do.
You really start making some changes. And so, but listen, guys, I know we've been here, I think about an hour already. And this is what we're doing for Mentor You Guys. This is why I built this platform, because we're going to talk about this. This is the point of walking you guys through life and your relationships. To take this level of conversation was just surface. This is truly just very,
it really is.
barely scratch the surface of anything that we really can get deep into. And as we walk through life, we are your tribe.
Yeah.
I've been saying all week, I just wanted to give you guys a tribe and a support group and a support system and a community that's going to love you, walk with you every week. And we need the support. We need the advice. We need the guidance. And this is why we're here. And if you want to see a turnaround in your marriage, you want to see a turnaround in your own mind and your own heart, listen, we have it at Mentor You University. All right. I pinned it. You guys sign up. They are a part of your tribe. They are just one. We got more relationship stuff coming up
Yes.
this
We're
week.
excited about it too.
And so we're going to do young couples premarital. They do discipleship. They do young marriages. Listen, y'all, we got it covered. This week, I think we got finances coming up. We have discovering you, who you are, just who you, just talk about you, nobody else, just you. We got in-depth marriage mentors and mediators that they are, I call them Master Yoda and Master Yoda.
Yeah.
They coming up as well. We have,
Yes.
if you're creative and you're in business, or you're trying to be in business, or you're creative and you're trying to get started, you don't know where to go, we got that coming up this week. Like, we got so much. This is Meet Your Mentor week. And so tonight we had, Martez and Nikki, and they just blessed us so much. Thank you for your transparency. Thank you so much. You guys, if you want to sign up, you can go to either mentoruuniversity.org, or it's pinned right here, upsettheworld.com/mentorship. And when I tell you, they're going to be there. They're going to be there. They're going to be in there in that platform talking to you. We got, people talking about, we got this week coming up, couples talking about divorce and blended families. I know some of y'all out there got blended families.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. I told you guys earlier, we're getting things translated into different languages. Why? Because I want you guys to know I'm an island girl, right? I'm an American citizen, but I'm an island girl. I am full of culture. We have a lot of things in our culture that we do that other cultures do that are very similar. My mother is from the Bahamas. Her family is from Turks and Caicos. My dad is Jamaican. I'm an island girl all through and through, okay? And so I value culture, and so I understand how it works. And so sometimes in different cultures, and African cultures and Chinese cultures and Indian cultures, different cultures around the world, they have different areas of marriage that they struggle with. Sometimes their relationships are arranged marriages. They got to make their marriages work, because they got to make their families happy. You know what I mean? That's just part of their culture. And so how did they navigate that? Yeah, we're going to talk about that. There's just different things, right? And then if you are in a marriage and then you get divorced, some cultures, it's shame on the family. Their family leaves you, right? So American culture, they're not going to do that so much. They're a little bit more nuanced and laid back, relaxed and laid back. But other cultures struggle in different areas that oftentimes Americans can't relate to. And that's why I love asking, where are you all from? Because it don't matter if you are in Germany or if you are in China. I know you guys were watching earlier, are in Australia. It doesn't matter. Relationships are relationships. Your communications are different. Sometimes we're used to our culture. We talk to each other hard. We just talk to each other hard. We interact with each other hard, because that's what our culture and our society taught us to do. That's what we're used to doing, but that doesn't mean we have to do it. We've got to learn to create our own nucleus in our new family. We are our own new nucleus. And so as we have derived cells and things from our parents and our growing up culture, and as this person over here has derived teachings and ideologies and belief systems from their family culture, okay, when you get married and you start forming a new relationship, you have to form your own culture. And what may have worked for you in your previous family unit may not necessarily wholeheartedly work for you in this family unit. And so sometimes when you make these changes and you start going against the grain, not a lot of people are going to like it. But you've got to do what is best for you. And sometimes there are some really hard decisions that you have to make. But I love your sanity. I love your mind. I love your heart. And I want that to be straight before we're pleasing our parents or we're pleasing the culture. Because they've lived, they have their marriage. And so you have yours. And so for my other cultures that are out there, aside from America, I'm here for you. And we can talk this through too. So listen, the mentorship platform is for you. You guys sign up through and through. It's going to be there. We've got 30 days for it to be at the $1,499, $1,499, where you have access to all these mentors anytime. You have full access to all of them. We've got Afterpay, we got Klarna, we got all the payments that you need. But I'm telling you, this mental health and wellness platform, I pray it's for you. It took me 10 months to build it all, and it is for you. So if you need a tribe, you need a community, you need love, and you need support, we are here for you.
Yes.
So I love you all so much. Thanks for letting me take over Upset the Gram tonight. Nikki Martiez, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Man,
You guys
this was a joy.
amazing. You guys are so awesome. I love it.
We enjoyed it.
Yeah, we really had a great time. And we just want to say again, just behind the scenes, seeing the work that you have put. I'm telling you guys, I just want to say the way that Juliet has shown up in this space, not only as like the visionary, but even the way she communicates the vision. When Martez and I first met you and you expressed the vision, we cried. Well, I cried. I don't know if Martez cried.
I
but
teared up.
You teared up, yes.
Like,
you know, I was like, okay,
it was like
cry.
right there, but it wasn't.
I'll take it.
But when I tell you, it was literally like you could feel the presence of God.
Yeah.
You could feel, and it wasn't just that God was on what you were doing. It was about God being in you, and you communicated His heart in a way that it's like, this isn't about you trying to make money. This is about you trying to create a space for people to experience healing where they may not necessarily have access to it in other spaces. Yeah. And that's the thing that I feel like is so revolutionary. Like for some, you may be able to navigate, people, but other people don't have this access. And I think that this platform not only talks about wellness, but it also talks about wholeness. Yeah. And that's the thing, like you can admit that you're broken and you can know that there's a space that can help you experience healing. Yeah. And so I just want to say from both of us, right? From both of us, how much just being around you has shown us really how to care. It's the way you take care of God's things. You take care of it with such tenderness, and you communicate that like, hey, this is something that God has given me, and this is how we're going to take care of it. And so the way that we even show up is with so much gentleness, because it's like, this is precious, right? And we've watched you through these weeks treat it with so much care. And we've seen God respond to your gentleness. We've seen God show up every time. You're like, I'm believing God for this, and it'll happen. I'm believing God for this, and it'll happen. And I just want to say that it's been an honor to watch you behind the scenes. So
gosh,
man.
Oh my God. Thank you so much.
I'm telling you.
Girl.
It's life changing.
Thank
so
you.
I'm just I'm saying that just so that other people can know what they're joining is not just something like an idea that it's almost like, oh, Julia was sitting in her house and she was like, oh, I think I'm going to do this. No, this is the heart of God for His people. And she said yes. She said yes to what God wants for you. You know what I mean? And so it's like, now it's your time to say yes to what God wants for you. Yeah. She's done her part, and we've joined her in responding to what God's will is for your life. And now it's your time. It's your time to respond to Him, and don't let the small barriers get in your way.
And I know for a lot of people, one of the biggest barriers is finances.
Yeah.
But this is such a reasonable price.
Oh,
like,
man.
If you even look up right now, the cost of a couples counseling session, especially if you're going to get 2 people in a session.
What?
If you just did one of those meetings per month, you would pay this.
What?
But you're getting coaching, counseling, therapists. You're getting access to all of these people, all of these coaches, for what you would pay for one session per month.
With one topic. And you get a whole buffet. That's what I'm saying. This is like the spiritual buffet.
I cannot.
You literally can go into finances. You can go into health. And it's basically, if you commit, by the end of the year, you're going to be looking nice. You're going to have somebody nice on your arm that's whole and healthy. And you're going to just be confident because you're recognizing like, man, I put in the work.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I guess we believe in this. You know what I mean? And me and Martez, we don't.
It's really amazing.
Yeah, we're not just hyping up. This is real. You know
This
what
is
I mean?
real. Oh my gosh. Y'all,
A whole
thank you.
buffet.
Thank you so much, y'all. That means so much to me. That really does. I didn't know y'all were going to say that, y'all. This wasn't no prep.
No.
This is just them, and I just thank you so much. That is so.
You're welcome.
And so deeply encouraging, and I appreciate that. You know, it's you know, when you do a lot of work and you're not thinking about what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
And then you just get some words of encouragement. It just means so much.
Yeah.
You know, it just lets you know, like, it wasn't in vain. You know what I mean? And so I thank y'all so much. And
we love you.
That. Oh, I love y'all so much. And I am thrilled because guess what, guys? We are going to upset the world.
Yes, we are.
That's just what we're going to do. We're going to upset the world. And listen, however the Lord leads, that's what we're going to do. So anybody out there, you know people that need this. If you don't need it, that's fine. But I know you know somebody that needs it. Share it and let's go.
Sponsor a person that you know. Like, I always think about soul division. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You may not need it, but you can sow it into someone else.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. So thank you guys. Listen, if you want to follow, we're gonna do stuff again. We're on Upset the Gram because my Instagram, I'm so new on Instagram, guys, and Instagram won't let me be great. And so they were like, you gotta wait 30 days and grow up, and then you can stream live on your own platform. So I had to steal Timmy's Upset the Gram. But thank you guys so much for joining. We'll be back here tomorrow night with some more Meet Your Mentors. But I want to thank you guys. I love y'all so much, and I will see you guys on the platform. So I hope you guys sign up so that you guys can get more of Martez and Nikki. Okay, have a great night, all.
Have a great night. Good night.
Good night.
Bye.